take Facebook. What's up? Okay, I'm live. Okay. What's up, y'all? What's up?
You ready?
Hey, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I was just trying to get my live video together. Did you tag me?
Is this y'all first day?
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Soul Therapy Radio with Ruby and Terra. And we are here today to discuss toxic versus absent parents, the debate. So, we're going to talk about that when we come back. And, you know, when we get back to that, after Terra picks up phone real quick, we'll come back and we're going to delve more into that particular topic. But this particular show is sponsored by Miss Shai Robinson, a Design by Diva. So we'll talk a little bit more about her when we come back. But welcome to Soul Therapy Radio with Ruby and Terra on Power 108.9. Okay, and so, okay, we got to record a commercial for her. That's all. But, can you, can we do like the audio for the commercial and just stick to the show without me having to actually say it? Remember, I told you I need to record 2 commercials today, and one of them hurt, so I was just asking, do I have to say it on that? Can you do the commercial record and you stick it in, or I have to?
Just do it after. You have to do it after the show.
Okay.
Yeah, do it after the show. You can do a live read.
I mean, that was.
Yeah, just record your first actor. You know, the audio actor.
Okay.
Because this right here is recording now. This is actually recording the show.
Oh, okay.
So that will be a separate track. You know what I'm saying? The car will be a separate track so they can put the music and stuff up on it.
Okay.
No, y'all ready? I'll give you a cue when you come in.
Okay.
Not so hood. Okay, acting so calm, boy. You can try music come on.
Hey. Hey, welcome back to Soul Therapy Radio with Ruby and Terra. And today we are discussing toxic versus absent parents. It's always a debate, and the reason it's always a debate is because when we think of toxic, we think of the mothers, and when we think of absent, we think of the fathers. So it's always this battle going back and forth. So Terra, I want you to give us your take. You know, the difference between toxic and absent, or you know, what do you think about that?
Right. Well, thank you for having me again today, Ruby. It's super exciting to be back on Soul Therapy Radio with Power 108.9, discussing the debate toxic versus absentee. Like you said, toxic is typically we're typically defining mothers, and absentee we're typically defining fathers. I would say, based on my own experience of being a single mother, a toxic parent is someone who is shifting this negative energy from a breakdown in the relationship with the father, if we're speaking about mothers, onto their children. They are speaking negatively about the father, or any sort of feeling of duress or anger or whatnot onto that child, the manner in which they treat that child, based on, again, the breakdown in the relationship with the father. For me, absentee father is simply a father who is not participating mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially in that child's life consistently. That would be an absentee father for me.
Okay. Thank you, Tara, for that explanation or your explanation. But what we also want to point out is the fact that a toxic person is not always just talking about the mother when it comes to being a parent. Because it could also be a toxic father because the mother isn't there. And the mother could be the one that's absent. I know men who basically had to go and take the children because the mother was just pretty much unfit to take care of the child. And it's just like, do I leave her there or do I take her? Of course, he's going to take her. Right. So toxic is always not just mothers. Sometimes
it's not always one or the other.
Right.
And with me and my oldest son's father, both of us was toxic the first probably 10 years of his life. Both of us was shifting that negative energy off one another into our child. So I think sometimes we want to pick a side, and sometimes it's a unhealthy combination of the both.
Right.
Because you could be a toxic mother and still absentee in your child's life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
You sure can.
So we want to get honest.
Yes, you sure can. And then another thing too is women or men, the reason that you're toxic always has nothing to do with the other one leaving. You could have been toxic in the first place, and that's why he or she left.
Come on.
Look at yourself. I'm just, just keeping it honest.
Right. Going back to how did I even end up in this particular relationship, and what were all of those red flags about one another that we dismissed? We want to blame it solely on the pregnancy or the child, but usually there were issues prior to that were unresolved in each individual.
Right. So let me say this real quick. Don't get it twisted. We're not saying one is better than the other.
Right.
Because neither one of them are good situations to be in, but you can't always be about who did what or who didn't do what. You have to think about that particular child that's being affected in either case.
Right. Well, I think we focus on being vindicated as single women raising children by ourselves. We want someone to give us that badge of honor, that award, and say, it's all his fault, sis. You good. You don't bear any responsibility. And reality is that it's so unhealthy.
Right. And then even if we take a look at social media just makes that whole debate so many times worse than what it really should be. Because it's always a continuous blame game. And then you can't even post a positive post trying to help the opposite sex. Like you said, for example, you said something and the women jumped on the post at you like, oh, she just trying to get cool points from the men. It's like,
we should be able to have a healthy discussion and say, okay, listen, this is the part that I played in the breakdown of the relationship. So if I say it's some good brothers out there doing the best for their children, and some, not all, some women are making it more than difficult. Sis, if it don't pertain to you, why you mad?
Exactly. Why you mad?
Cricket.
And that's why I love her.
But listen, I'm going to tell you this. It was hard, Ruby. It was like a 10-year run of just being so miserable. Like I was discussing in the car, watching what I thought was my son's father move on with his life, with his other children, with his other mate, and my son be left on the porch waiting on his dad. It took me about 10 years to really recognize the part that I played in that breakdown of the relationship between him and I, let alone our child together. Man, listen, we had one of the most powerful conversations when we both were like, listen, we were so messed up. We was young, all of the things that had transpired in our lives, that accountability piece of we brought this to the table. Not you versus me or me versus you. We brought this to the table. Now, how do we do better?
Exactly. Now, that we're going to leave y'all on that question. But before we go to commercial, quick shout out to Miss G. Michelle of GMichelle.com. She is she has her, y'all, I'm just messing up all this stuff, but it's okay. Her self-explore, self-restore journal that is available on Amazon.com. So I will be providing more information. Shout out to the G. Michelle for sponsoring this particular segment of the show. We appreciate you. But Soul Therapy Radio with Ruby and Terra, we will be back here on Power 108.9.
You got to notes on there.
There you go.
You got too many notes for the sponsors.
Yeah, and I thought I had
bullet
her name. No, I have it separated. I thought I had put something else besides just her name, and I'm like, her name is Michelle White. Now I would think of that after.
Look, put that business on there.
But no, I had a whole thing I was gonna read, but I'm gonna read it to everybody on Facebook land. Oh, were you ready yet? Oh, okay. G. Michelle. Y'all make sure y'all take note of this. You deserve a healthy relationship with yourself and others. Tap into your inner strengths while supporting your relationship with yourself with her guided self-care journal, Self-Explore, Self-Restore. This is a guided journal that explores the important parts of who you are and identifies what you need to have a safe and healthy relationship. Treat yourself to your own Self-Explore, Self-Restore journal today by going to Amazon. And if y'all got an Amazon Prime account, y'all might can get that tomorrow, or maybe the day after. You're supposed to get it tomorrow. I ain't got no Amazon Prime account. I don't quite know how that works, but hey, if you got it, use it. Okay. So, what we're going to talk about, some effects of toxic and absent parents. I started with talking about my experience with my dad. I knew that it was toxic early on. I was like, you got you ain't call me.
Your experience is different though. Yeah. Like you really haven't let that attach you.
Mm-hmm. I was a rolling stone.
I think
it depends on the person.
I guess it depends on the person.
I think by the time I came out, and some more out of me. So
it's I don't know about my dad. It's probably some more kids out there that we just don't know about.
You ready?
Yeah. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey. Right on there. What is that on top
of? Welcome back to Soul Therapy Radio with Rubi and Terra. Hey, that music, you know what? With that song playing, we just gonna go right into this. My papa was a Rolling Stone, for real.
Wherever
he laid his head was his home. But I love my mommy. My mommy has always been there for me, and I love my uncle. Shout out to my Uncle Ronnie. I appreciate you for being the father figure in my life. But while we're talking about toxic versus absent, my dad, he was toxic and he was absent.
Come on.
But I wasn't upset with that. Intuition as a child, I realized that there was something that wasn't quite right when it came to my father. So I didn't build up this resentment or build up this hurt or anything for him not being there. I was kind of glad that he wasn't here, because even after the fact, I'm like, okay, where would I be had he been in my life?
Right.
How would that have affected me? And quite honestly, I don't even want to know. And I'm not even about to dwell on that. Exactly, because it's just like everything happens like it's supposed to be. Had he been in my life, maybe I wouldn't be here doing this, having this conversation with you right now. I feel bad.
Right.
And not only that, don't tell me that I have father issues because my dad wasn't there.
That's an automatic assumption that you do because you didn't have him. And we just spoke through your experience of not father is so very different than a lot of women that I know who actually do have father issues.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think that your uncle played a part in kind of balancing that masculine energy out for you?
He played a significant part because he was always there. When I graduated, he was there. He was there when when I need some get right and act right. He was there to beat my behind. He sure did. He's probably the reason why I don't want kids now.
Listen.
Because all through high school, he threatened me. Have some kids if you want to. Have some kids if you want to.
Right.
Uncle Ryder, that's your fault. That's why your sister ain't got no grandkids right now. It's your fault.
Listen, ladies, fellas, want to hear what you have to say about the subject, toxic mothers versus absentee fathers. Hey, Dial in Power 108.9 678 383 2339. Tell us what you think about the topic. Let us know what your perspective on it was, your personal perspective if you didn't have your mother or father in your life. We want to hear from you all.
We sure do. And call in. You calling in also, we are giving away a free 25-minute Reiki session with Miss Milan Staples of Fly and Flourishing. She is one of our sponsors. But call in for your chance to win that free 25-minute Reiki session. So, shout out to Miss Milan, Miss Fly and Flourishing for that. And we have Mackenzie on the line. Shout out to Miss Mackenzie. Thank you for giving us a call. Hey, Mackenzie, how are you?
Hi, how are you, ladies?
We are good.
Good.
So chime in. Tell us what your thoughts are on toxic mothers and or absentee fathers or vice versa.
Well, my thoughts on it are, I believe that absentee fathers don't make as much of an impact on your upbringing as a toxic mother would. In my experience, my father was absent, but my mother was not toxic, and it was because of the way she raised me and what she instilled in me that made me successful and made me the woman that I am. However, I had to deal with my father issues at a later age, but I just feel like my mom's impact on me and being in my life on a consistent basis was much more important and vital to who I am, more so than my father not being there. So if someone's in your life on a consistent basis, how they interact with you and how they treat you is going to outweigh someone who is not there.
Absolutely, sis. Thank you for chiming in.
Right.
I think it's
Thank you for that. And you made a good point, because a lot of people like to say that even with, for example, Terra, she's, a mother and she's raising two sons. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people like to say that because the father isn't there, then her sons are already a statistic because he's not there.
Right.
And
right,
it's,
right.
we like to take things away from her, or always consistently saying, no, the father has to be there. The father has to be there. No, he doesn't. If he's someone, in my case, as long as there's a male figure there and some masculine energy in the picture, then that suffices.
Well, listen, we
to
know
some
some
degree.
phenomenal sisters, single mothers raising phenomenal children. We know some phenomenal men raising children alone, raising phenomenal children. I think that we try to put people in these boxes based on our own experience, how it fits for us. And it's like that. Everybody's journey is not the same, because we know toxic fathers and toxic mothers who don't need no children.
Yeah.
But it's the whole put it in the box and it looks this way and it looks this way for everybody. It's like, that's not true. And like you said, social media, it shapes people's views on things and it's so one-sided, instead of really looking at the individual experience and what that means for that person.
Right. And also just think about it too, if the mother wasn't there. I have some male friends who are taking care of their daughter and wasn't there, and it's just like, why do you get upset when she's not there? You already know who she is. You had children with her. Being the toxic person that she is, you knew that she wasn't going to be there, but don't let that keep you from doing what you're supposed to do. Right.
Well, we got a Facebook question when we come back from the break. Do we use examples as crutches? For example, single parent, or my dad's not in my life. James from Facebook asked a question. When we come back from the break, we're going to answer. Power 108.9.
You saw that? This is my idea. That's a good idea. She had the question right there.
But I caught it.
She didn't say it.
No, I didn't.
You can't say it's behind you.
That's why. Okay.
Yeah,
That's all right. I caught it.
Okay, as long as you saw it.
I caught it. We vibing.
No, I was saying when the old girl called in, I was saying keep going.
Don't worry about the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do we use these as crutches for a single parent? That not in my life, etc. Thank you, 'cause I showed and see that. I was like, oh, I'm still looking over here like, what?
Where did you come from?
I was gonna make up one too though.
Yeah, I had one on here. I was like, my question is, why do women feel they become toxic because the father leaves? And then I was like, we kind of talked about.
Can we chime in on that generational? Like your father wasn't there for you, and how that affect. Like I know for sure, my son and his father are both sitting on the porch waiting on their dad still. And that cycle of just repetitiveness.
Okay, well when we come back, we'll answer that question. Oh my neck. And then after we answer the question, then we'll go into that. Yeah. Hey Facebook. Hey, y'all got some questions?
I just commented on there.
Yeah, I see. Thank you all for tuning in on Facebook Land. We appreciate you. This is Soul Therapy Radio with Rubi and Terra, and we're discussing toxic versus absent parents.
You ready? You good?
And we're back to Soul Therapy Radio with Rubi and Terra here on Power 108.9. And don't forget, we are giving away that free Reiki distance, that 25-minute session. Just give us a call, 678-383-2339 with any comments, questions, any way you want to chime in. So before we went to break, we did have a Facebook question from James. So Terra, if you could go ahead and read the question for us.
Thank you, Ruby. Do we use these as crutches? Titles like single parent or things like my dad is not in my life. Are we using those terms as a crutch in our lives?
Absolutely. Some people
100,
do.
100.
Yes. People will hold on to that till the wheels fall off and be like, well, I'm this way because my daddy, I'm this way because my mommy was toxic. You're wrong. Hold yourself accountable. When I was about to say something, but I'm not going to. When you decide to really be wrong, it ain't got nothing to do with your mama not being there, your daddy not being there, either one of them being toxic. When you out there being wrong on your own account.
We talked about this the other day on Respect the Queen. We go from victim to villain to hero. Especially because my experiences have been with other single mothers, other women. We holding on to that single parent title. I'm telling you, there is something about this badge of honor that we think we get because we're struggling as women to raise children, and we want the rest of the world to woe is me and throw us a pity party. We don't want to do the accountability piece. Because listen, how many empowerment movements do we have out here for single women, for single mothers? Just women in general, but definitely single moms, and everybody is throwing you a pity party.
Exactly.
Let's be real. Nobody's being honest and saying, hey, sis, you knew this man was who he was before when you met him,
right,
and you chose to stay, and you thought that baby was going to keep him. And now you out here struggling and suffering based on a choice that you made, but you don't want to get honest about that. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. That was a large horse pill to swallow.
Right.
It's your fault, Terra.
And that's the point. You owned up to that. You're holding yourself accountable for that. Why is accountability such a huge issue when it comes to things like that?
Because then I got to do the work.
That part.
I got to do the work. I can't blame my mom. I can't blame dad. I can't blame society. I have to do the work now. It's hard. Because you peel that layer back. Now we gotta go further. It's not just single mother. It's not just that relationship. You keep finding out more things about yourself that feel good. Let me go pop on what I want to deal with.
And then another thing that comes to mind is these are things that I consider, and people always ask me all the time, "Are you gonna have kids? Why you don't have kids?" No, I don't have kids because with kids comes responsibility, not just raising them, but all those emotional and those mental and physical responsibilities that come as a result. And it's just like, no matter how careful I am about choosing a partner, if I were to decide to have kids, there's no guarantee that he's gonna be there. And then now do I become a toxic mother because now I have a child and the father has left? And it's just like, me personally, for me, it's just some things that I just don't want to deal with.
Right, it's a personal choice for your life
that I don't want, but things I consider. And you know, I don't think people take that into consideration when they are in somebody's face. You need to have kids. You're gonna change your mind. Look, get out my face.
That's your role as a woman. That's what the society says. That's your role as a woman. Now here's the flip side. Do we give men the same consideration as we give women when they are single fathers or they have gone through things in their life? They've had, you know, their father wasn't there, their mother wasn't there. Do we give them the same pass or allow the same excuses that we give to women?
Do we? And it's just like, we have to get to that point where, just like you said, we have to look at this generational thing. Right. Is it, are you not a good father because your father wasn't a good father? Are you a toxic mother because your father was a toxic mother? I mean, your mother.
But that goes back to the last question. Is it a crutch?
Yes, exactly. And that's why it's a crutch. So, like I said, don't forget, we have that free Reiki session that we're giving away. Call in 678-383-2339. Questions, comments, chime in.
Listen, when we come back, we're going to talk about the epic episode between Serena and the US Open yesterday. Are we using this Me Too movement to our advantage after Bake Power 108.9?
We'll see soon.
Woo. I struggled with that yesterday with Serena. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't know what side of the fence I was on.
Why don't you do that other question too?
The excuses?
The one about how women do ladies see men as weaker when they use those excuses.
Gotcha.
That's what I wanted you to hear.
Gotcha.
Because I was talking about it.
Right, got you. I seen the bottom one.
The ladies see me as weaker when they
use those excuses. Yep. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do y'all?
Let me stop. No, I don't.
That's what's really true.
No, I'm more open-minded when it comes to stuff like this, and so I understand that there's different dynamics of, you know, relationships and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I know a majority of women don't.
I wasn't always.
And see,
I wasn't always. I didn't get a whole nothing.
Facebook real quick before we come back. Shout out to Miss Jada Cummings of Self Glamour LLC. Self is defined as a person's essential being that distinguishes them from others. Your identity, your character, personality, spirit, and uniqueness make you who you are. And at Self Glamour, no matter what race, gender, age, profession, or identity, we want you to be and feel like yourself and your Self Glamour. Y'all check her out, you know. I don't do no extensions, but she got some for you. So you can go to www.selfglamourllc.com. Get y'all some bundles. Get you some bundles.
That hair girl.
You got 2 minutes, y'all good.
Okay. And since we got these 2 minutes, let me go ahead and get Miss Milan out of the way. Because, like I said, Milan is the one that's doing the free Reiki session. I can't even talk. I've been talking all day. The free Reiki session. Fly and Flourishing is a haven for all things Reiki, energy healing, and intentional living. It believes in thriving over surviving, and that wellness is a birthright and not a privilege. A birthright, not a privilege. Sorry. You can book an in-person or distance Reiki session or join one of her monthly Reiki healing circles or calls. Follow her on IG at Fly and Flourishing for updates, service offerings, and more. Hey Milan, how you doing? Y'all better get that free Reiki session. Y'all know how much I charge for my sessions. It ain't free. I will tell you that much. And she offering one for free. If y'all want to buy our shoppers, reach out to her. She can help with that too. Y'all know I do it, but this ain't about me. This is about her. Reach out to Milan. Okay, I'm done. You ready to come back? And we're back. Soul Therapy Radio with Ruby and Terra. Nice for what? Nice for what? But yes, we're back here on Power 108.9, and we have a question from Rick in Maryland. Do ladies see men as weaker when they use those excuses? And we say excuses like, the last question was like, do we use it as a crutch when our parents are not in our lives, or something like that? Me personally, I don't see men as weaker if they use those excuses. I mean, your experience and your understanding, that's you. So, I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not saying we going to be together or nothing like that, but I'm not going to hold it against you. We can talk about it. We can discuss it, but that's one of those conversations that we need to have before we, talk about really being in a relationship, because I need to understand who, why, how, and all of that, all of that good stuff, because it's not always just you at this particular point in time just using it as a crutch and just throwing it out there. It could be some serious, things that could have happened, and
right.
Some things that were beyond your control, and I completely understand that.
I think today I'm looking more for how do you, first of all, are men judged and seen as weaker? Absolutely, as a whole. Everybody ain't Ruby. Absolutely.
Especially when society, it comes to being emotional and
right. Men are
stuff
absolutely
like that.
Perceived as weak if they were to use the same excuses or reasons that women use. I think for me, current day, no longer being bitter, I have compassion and understanding, but I'm more curious, or I want to know how you're dealing with these adversaries in your life. How are you parenting your child? What makes it different now? Okay, so you acknowledge that you've been through all of this, but what are you doing about it?
Exactly.
How are you moving forward in life? That's more of a key indicator. It's like, I don't want to always hear every month, you didn't have your daddy. You know what I mean? Like, every single thing that goes on in your life, you default back to, well, I didn't have that crutch that we were talking about. I don't want to do that with you. If I see that it's productive and progressive, then yeah. Like, I just had this experience earlier this year with a guy who, like, made it seem like he didn't have baby mama, baby daddy issues, and he was raising his children and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then one particular night, I get a midnight phone call. He done got pulled over for a speeding ticket, back child support, suspended license. And it's like,
but I thought you said
right. So then now it becomes like, well, what really is going on?
I really
especially because I'm a single mom who the fathers of my children don't raise their children. So now I'm kind of side-eyeing you. Mm-hmm. Oh, that can taint how you deal with men.
Exactly. So, hey, Rick, does that answer your question? No, Claire. But no, we really appreciate the question. Thank you. Thank you for your engagement. Now, we're talking about Serena and, the situation yesterday. I didn't see it personally. I scrolled through social media and I saw some posts. One post I saw where she was, getting an attitude. Well, the way the post was worded, they made it seem like she was getting an attitude because she was losing or whatever the case may have been. But then I saw other posts where she was like, no, she was actually correcting the umpire. But that's what she was doing, and it was just like, no. And then I saw the quote that I read the quote that she or what she said as far as, I don't want to win cheating, I'd rather just lose, or something.
I'd rather lose is what she was saying.
And in my opinion, that's black girl magic all over the place. It's just like, you know what, me losing this one particular match does not justify my whole career. I've already proven myself. I'm not saying she's saying that to say, well, this is just another match, but it's just like, I've already done all that I wanted to do. I've already achieved. I'm pretty much at the point where I'm doing this because I still love to do it. I still enjoy the excitement of playing tennis, and you're not going to cheat for me to steal that same feeling that this, my opponent can have, when she's worked just as hard as I have to be in this particular position.
Right. I think because I was on both sides of the fence with this one. The clip was about 5 minutes long. And, of course, don't jump headlines. We go look and see what the whole story is because they'll spin it how they want to spin it. So it's like having something along those lines. And she did correct the umpire about him insinuating she had cheated and taking the point from her. And then further, that continue to be a conversation as far as her voice. In her opinion, she made a comment that this always happens with men. Men get to do this. Men get to do this, or men have done this, and nothing. Nothing ever transpires. I think the gist of what I got from it is that this is a reoccurring issue at this particular tournament for her. So it looked like someone who was tired and fed up, and she defaulted to using, well, this doesn't happen to men. So that's where the question comes in is like, is that okay? Are we using so-called feminism to, kind of as a scapegoat to a certain degree? Which, like I was saying to Michael, I was kind of on the fence with it. It was like, stand in your own truth, stand in this moment right now, and what's transpiring, and not necessarily using men as a reason why this is transpiring. Maybe he was just a crap umpire. Maybe this U.S. Open is just somewhere that she said in the interview. She's gone through this in 2009, 2004. So is this a personal issue, or is it a men versus women issue?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Because I was going to say, like I said, I didn't watch it at all. That's just what I got from scrolling through.
I think people keyed in because they never seen to respond like that online. I mean, she was pissed. She kept going. She was because she wanted him to apologize for insinuating that she had cheated. So it was an insult to her integrity. Okay,
now that I completely get.
Right.
Look, don't be blaming me for some cheating I didn't do. You wait till I actually do it.
But of course, those of us who are above behaving like that, like, you don't do that, you don't do that in that type of environment. Then I was like, well, what does that really mean, though? Like, when was the best time? So then when you seen the follow-up, she retracted a little bit.
Okay.
So watching it now.
Watch the clip. Yeah, she was like, now I see the clip. Now I see the clip.
Swedish asking for the referee.
Come on.
Now that I see the clip, don't nothing change. I still feel the same way.
Right.
But it's like Tara was saying, if I'm not a cheater, don't insinuate, me being a cheater, because that's not who I am.
So then it still comes back to, and I think we're glossing over this. Does she get to use what happened to her and turn it into a debate of men versus women? Is this a situation that she just has with the U.S. Open? This is reoccurring for her, this issue with them. And then she kind of retracted. Did you see the follow-up? She kind of retracted and reeled it all back in for sake of, whatever the case may be. I think sometimes we do get to default as women. I think we do.
Sometimes.
I think we do.
But when we come back, we will go into our happy, healthy, and healing section of Soul Therapy Radio with Ruby and Terra here on Power 108.9. We'll be back.
Hey, she pulled a Kobe Bryant.
Listen, I didn't see the part where
she sang around.
She was
actually getting her ass kicked.
Yeah. It was a combination. That young lady was. Yeah, that one young lady came to play, and then it stole her moment.
Right.
That was the part that I was like, she's 20.
Oh, you talking about the young girl?
The young girl. Yeah. So they were booing the young girl for winning. No, she outplayed Serena. Period.
Pretty much. I mean, and that whole mental and emotional thing. Had you not been in your feelings, it's a time and place for feelings and emotion. And clearly on that court, if you wanted to win, that was not the place for them. No, ma'am. Right.
10-hour film.
You still
Ain't
doing that?
even-
Look.
And they wrapping it up now?
I just scrolled through and found the people that I wanted to see. I'm like, I'm not doing this.
I don't, if it ain't on the Cartoon Network, I'm not gonna see it. I watch the Cartoon Network as a
I don't
37-year-old.
watch TV. I found it on YouTube.
That's the only channel I watch. Unless I go in my mom's room and she watching ID with her scary self. You remember back in the day when Unsolved Mysteries used to come on?
That was my show. I can't watch it no more though. I'm scared.
My Ruby, come sit with me so I can watch this
That
with
creepy
you too.
voice, that old man Robert,
Yeah.
whatever his name was.
Oh, you watch your cartoons?
I sure do. I go to sleep, cartoons on. I eat, cartoons on. But cartoons are so funny. And cartoons are deep. They be on there talking about meditation, namaste, I say. And I just be like, they be talking about the chakras. And I be like, really? Y'all better, hey Kimberly, hey Victoria, hey Wendell, hey DeAndrea. Do we have somebody calling in?
Yeah, she gonna call back. I told her to call back.
Oh, okay.
I'm texting all kinds of call into the show. Call into the show. Call into the show.
Thank you all for tuning into Soul Therapy Radio with Rubi and Terra. Yeah, we appreciate you. We are talking about toxic versus absent parents. Now, don't forget, after this at 2 p.m., me, Terra, and Allison will be on Facebook Live. Yeah, I'm going live again today. Yes, I am. But we will be live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time for Soul Sunday, and we will be talking about sisterhood. Yeah, sisterhood. And brotherhood. Y'all can listen in too, you know. It's not just for the ladies, it's for the men too. It's for the men too. Yeah, y'all see Michael in the background. Yeah, be sure to check out Mornings with Michael and Friends, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Yes, y'all can follow Power app on Facebook at Power 108.9 and on Instagram at Power 108.9.
Don't be updating, right?
Yeah, but hey y'all, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna have to call.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are.
What's the name of this segment?
Happy, healthy, and healing. Hey Kimberly, toxic versus absent parents, the debate.
Power 108.9. I'm good, thank you.
Welcome back, y'all. Yeah, I'm good and southern, y'all. To Soul Therapy Radio with Rubi and Terra here on Power 108.9, and we are discussing toxic versus absent parents, the debate. This particular section, we're going to be discussing, well, happy, healthy, and healing section. We will be discussing ways to heal, to identify, and to work on the results of you being mentally or emotionally affected from either a toxic parent or an absent parent.
Good topic.
Yes. Now, Terra and I know healing does not look the same for everybody. So we don't subscribe to no cookie cutter healing. We're not finna tell everybody just go meditate. No. You might need to meditate in the woods naked, and everybody not finna do that.
Nice.
We have a caller on the line.
All right. Who we got?
Layla. Layla's on the line. Hey, Layla, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm well, Layla. Thank you for joining in.
Yes.
We're talking about toxic mothers and absentee fathers. What advice would you give someone who grew up with a toxic mother or absentee father in moving forward with their lives?
Okay, I need you to repeat that question. I'm sorry.
No problem, sis. What advice would you give to a woman or a man who has had a toxic mother or an absentee father in moving on with their life?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say would be to forgive. I think that that's very important. You can't move forward in your life if you're not forgiving. And it's not for, them, it's for you. The only thing you can do is, try to forgive whatever the mistakes were, because we all make mistakes.
Right, absolutely.
The other thing, I guess, that I would say is prayer. I think that's very important that we also pray. You have to pray for that person that did whatever it was to you, because sometimes I think we do things not meaning to hurt someone, or we do things not really knowing that we actually did whatever it was that we did. So I would say that you need to pray also. You have to pray for them as well as yourself. Pray for their mistake, and then pray that, you get the healing that you need so that you can move forward with your life.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, sis.
Thank you. And we have some input from Ms. Victoria from Facebook. She said, I can share an experience she had recently with her absent father, and she would like for us to do some commentary on it. But Victoria says, in the past 3 years, her and her father have been talking more. And one of the things that he said to her that provided some closure for her is that he mentioned that he didn't want to be around her still messed up on the drugs, because he wanted to be 100% with her. So he waited until he got it together. And she said that absolutely made sense to her.
So being able to identify and connect with, his reasoning why.
Exactly.
Versus, I guess, maybe pointing the finger or chastising him, just kind of understanding where he was at. Not identifying, connect, but understanding where he was at that time.
Right. I think that's a huge part of the healing process, or growing past it, is that sometimes when a parent is not there, the only side of the story that we get is from the parent that is there.
Right.
And that's not always true.
Right.
And how we feel and how it affects us basically develops from that commentary that we get from that parent. And it's sometimes not always the right information, and here we are feeling some type of way about something that we didn't actually get to. We didn't get the story firsthand for us to say, you know what, I want what actually happened to affect me this type of way. And in doing so, you have this resentment, or you feel some type of way towards this particular parent that wasn't there. And it's just like,
it's not your truth.
Exactly. And it's just like, no, you have to talk to them to get their side of the story and understand why they did what they did.
Right.
It's not always because he just didn't want you, or just because she didn't want you.
Well, do you think that there's a certain way that we as African American people deal with these sort of parental issues versus our Caucasian brothers and sisters?
Of course,
where
definitely.
It's not going to church and praying. It's not sweeping it under the rug. These folks is going to get some help.
Exactly. And we should go get some help too. It's absolutely okay to go and get some help. That's what it's there for.
Right.
Now, I will say you probably want to get some help from someone that identifies with your situation. You get what I'm saying? Someone that can really relate to what's going on.
You want to be able to connect and identify with the person that you're sharing your story with. There's certain things that people of another race just won't be able to connect
Exactly.
to. It's not a right or
Go to
wrong
somebody
thing.
who looks like you.
Right.
And that's completely okay.
Like I specifically chose male therapist because I lacked a male figure in my life. So I needed something from him that a woman just couldn't give me. You know,
Right.
I needed a reset too.
Uh-huh.
For the 30-day journey that I just took back home. I needed a reset on my perspective of my father. My perspective of my father, I held him way up on the pedestal.
Uh-huh.
I got to spend 30 days with my mother and listen to her story. It was like, whoa.
Right.
Whoa. So like you said, we kind of pick and choose sides instead of really just being able to kind of be neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to each party's truth and kind of find your own truth. Because what I do know is he gonna see it his way, she gonna see it her way, and don't nobody see it from the child's point of view.
Exactly. That part. And that's where root work comes in. You have to do a whole lot of root work. Mm-hmm. Like now, you know, that's why I started doing root chakra consultations, because with all the clients that I've had, I can safely say 98% of people have an underactive root chakra, and that has to do with how we were raised, whether we had toxic parents, whether we had absent parents, the ideologies that we learned from them, how they learned to survive, and all of that. And because we grow up with that within us, then it's hard for us to separate from that, to change that, right, to replace old information with new information. Mm-hmm. Because we're like, well, my mom told me, or my dad. Well, look, your mama didn't always tell the truth, and your daddy didn't either. Right. How many times did you say he was coming to pick you up, and you were still sitting at the house with your mom? And vice versa. Have these honest conversations about what the relationships were with our grandparents, our mothers, our great-grandparents. We got this fixated idea that things were just great. Right. And it's just like, that's not the truth. All of this stuff is just continuously perpetuating, getting passed down. It's okay, sis, for it to partially be your fault. Exactly. It's okay. Exactly. Free yourself so you can free them babies. What you don't deal with, you teach them. Absolutely. So, when we come back, you know, we thank you for those that have called in, those that have chimed in on Facebook. But we have to pick a winner for our free Reiki session with Miss Milan. So once we come back to Soul Therapy Radio here on Power 108.9, we will do that. Yes. And we kind of, you know, all these different angles of it. Mm-hmm. And some input. I'm surprised the sisters ain't mad at us online today.
Just do it after the show.
Yeah, like you said, after. We can't do it.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
well, I'm on Facebook. I should have put mine on Instagram, because then they would have been liking me. Oh. So it's quite a few better sisters over there. I don't know if they on mine. I don't know. Thank you all for tuning in. Hey, Leela. Leela says, great show. Very true. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining us today. So yeah. Victoria, Constance, Kim. Yes. Who else is there? Tonika, Samuel, O'May. Thank you. Oh, I saw Coronado. Shout out to you. He watched every single live I do just about. Who else? Samuel. Who else did I see? It was a few other guys that were, you know, tuning in and whatnot. But who we had call in? Mackenzie and Layla. Thank you for joining us, sister. We appreciate you. Who was it? Rick from Maryland. Yeah, and James from Facebook coming. Thank you. So I think, yeah, I know what I'm gonna do. Just for them calling in. Since Milana's doing a free 25-minute session, we can give that one to what is it? Layla is in Ohio. Okay. We can give that to her. Okay. For the distance session, and then I'll just do one for McKinney. Okay. And chakra. Are you the Reiki for her? It could be either one. Oh, gotcha.
Can you explain what they are?
Yes.
No, she might not want one. she very much Christian. She might not. Yeah. Chakra on her. And Reiki, like later. I know her. Okay. So she might not want one. Get her the chakra. That might make a little bit more sense than the Reiki. Okay. It's the devil is the spirit. We need her to call me and participate with the show. Alright, Tara, actually, she wants us to do a podcast with her. I forgot to share that information. I forgot. We're back on the class.
And we're back. Soul Therapy Radio with Rubi and Terra. Here on Power 108.9, and we're discussing toxic versus absent parents. And before we left from our last segment, I mentioned our free Reiki session and that we will be selecting our winner. And it was based on who called in. We had 2 people that called in, and we are grateful for both of you. So I'm also going to do a service as well, give away a free service. So both of our winners, well, both of our callers will be covered. But of course, with the Reiki, I am a Reiki master. And pretty much what Reiki is it's a universal energy, a universal healing energy that's hands-free. You know, it's not like we have to touch you or anything if you're not comfortable. But it's a holistic healing treatment that focuses on using universal life force and energy to allow you to heal yourself. Each of us have healing powers and healing energies within ourselves. And I'm pretty much just a conductor of that energy to channel that within you and to magnify that, if you will. So it's not like I'm actually healing you, but I'm basically using what you have within you to help you. With doing that, that can be used for emotional and mental things. It can be used to balance chakra, to balance your chakras, for a number of different things. I actually have a couple of sessions that I'm doing soon. So, you know, I'm excited about that. But that's pretty much what it is. As far as another service that I know some people have a question about, which is the root chakra consultation. Everybody has chakras. Everybody has a root chakra. And pretty much, like I said earlier, the root chakra is associated with how we were raised and ideologies and our understanding of survival and how we survive. And sometimes we get caught up in that.
Right, absolutely.
And sometimes we don't understand why we can't move forward, why we can't get past certain thoughts and reactions that we have, such as money. Money is very much tied to the root chakra. Right. A lot of us didn't get proper financial education as children, so now as adults, we out here living our best lives with no money in the bank. It's just like, what are you doing? But
going back and forth,
like I said, shout out, exactly. Shout out to Mackenzie and to Layla. Layla will actually give you the root chakra consultation, and we'll let Mackenzie take the Reiki session.
Awesome. Congratulations,
so,
ladies.
Yes, Terra.
Layla, follow up with us, soultherapy@gmail.com.
Soultherapy@gmail.com.
Absolutely. With you later, sisters. Congratulations.
But thank you all. Terra, last words first?
I'll get all back down to accountability, being honest with yourself, being double honest with yourself in places and spaces in which it hurts. Neither person is more to blame than the other. Sharing the responsibility of raising our children.
Right.
Hey, do better, sisters. Do better, brothers.
And you have to realize that as an adult, whether you had a toxic parent or an absent parent, at some point in time, you got to stop blaming them and hold yourself accountable and do what you need to do for you and end the cycle. Don't continue the cycle. End it. So that's it for Soul Therapy Radio with Rubi and Terra. We thank you for tuning in and watching. We look forward to continuing with our next show. And we'll let y'all know when that is and what we will be talking about. We want y'all to tune in. We thank you for being here. Thank you to our call for those that called in. Thank you to everybody that commented. You gonna say bye there?
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Bye. We gonna see y'all later. Bye.
Okay, take us off the last season.
Sorry, y'all. That's all y'all get. Y'all don't get no behind the scenes. I can't even talk. Bye. I'm gonna go.
You see, I wrote in the back.